dreamers need a big deal.
The local news brought to you by
Give me big deal because big dreamers need a big deal.
Sian, you can go ahead.
Hello, good night. Welcome to another in our virtual training put on by Caribbean Chemicals Jamaica. My name is Sion Sprint. I'm your presenter tonight. I'm the product development agronomist for the Southwest region of Jamaica, which comprises of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. Now, tonight's topic is we're going to look at condiments, the CCJ way, and the main crops of focus tonight are thyme and scallion, two condiments that are mainly grown on the southern section of Jamaica, but it's commonly used by a lot of households in this country. Now let us look at condiments. What are condiments? They are referred to as supplemental food used to add or to enhance flavors. So when someone places a piece of scallion or a piece of thyme in your rice and peas or to season your meat, they're enhancing that flavor of that meat or your rice and peas. Now they provide a source of income because we have a lot of farmers that plant scallion and thyme. And it has a social impact on many rural communities in Jamaica. I must also hasten to add here that there are other condiments such as onion, turmeric. They're also planted in Jamaica, but tonight our main focus is to look at scallion and thyme. And we have scallion and thyme being used in the agro-processing industry in Jamaica. We have processors who will journey down to St. Elizabeth or down to southern Manchester to purchase scallion and thyme from our farmers, and they use it to make their sauces. In terms of export data here, and I want farmers to pay attention here. The global market value for condiments as at 2020, which was 3 years ago, is valued at EU $20.9 billion. Now, CARICOM, which includes Jamaica, Trinidad, as well as Grenada, it has estimated to have sold to that market, which has a market value of 20.9 billion EU, only 44 million EU dollars worth of condiments. Now, Jamaica, was one of the first countries in the form of Busher Brown, who became the first company to export products made from condiments in 1970. Now today, Busher Brown exports to Australia, Canada, England, and New Zealand. And we have other companies that are now in the market exporting, but I do not wish to call names just now. Now, what are the ideal conditions under which scallion and thyme is grown in Jamaica? You need irrigation. Agriculture is to water as water is to agriculture. So irrigation, it might be in the form of drip, which is one of the most efficient system of irrigating your thyme or your scallion. Or you,
Sion,
or if you,
just a minute, Sion.
yes, Georgia. Hello.
Put the presentation on slideshow, please. Sorry about that, everyone. Right beside share. Yeah, you
Sorry.
were right there.
Okay,
Yes, go
apologize
ahead.
for that.
Mhm.
So you need irrigation. And this can be in the form of drip or overhead sprinkler. Now the drip is one of the most efficient, but the cost of it sometimes is very expensive, but it's one of the more efficient. Now, in terms of overhead sprinkler, you're going to need to have enough water with pressure that can charge your sprinklers. Now, soil type, you need a well-drained soil, preferably an alkaline soil, because there are fungal problems that are associated with scallion as well as thyme. So you need your soil to be well-drained to minimize this problem. Now you need a climate that is warm and sunny. That is why you notice that thyme grows and scallion grows best in a certain section of Jamaica. We'll look at that later. Now, temperature, you need a temperature between 18 to 29 degrees Celsius, which equates to 65 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, your planting material farmers to be free from pests and pathogen. You don't want to be planting and starting on the back. You want to be on the front. So you want planting material that is of the highest quality, free from pests and pathogen. Now, I have grown to see the farmers in southern Manchester and southern St. using mulch. So it is important to use mulch in your scallion on thyme, because this will also help to retain moisture, as well as it acts also to reduce your weed pressure. So you're getting a double deposit from this mulching, because we know that southern Manchester and southern St. Elizabeth are some of the dry areas in Jamaica. Well, okay, now crops considered to be condiments. Now first, what are condiments? Condiments are, as I said before, food that we use to increase the flavor, what we call spice in Jamaica, enhance your spice. It used to complement your dish. Imagine using your scallion, your thyme, your onion, and your garlic to season a nice piece of pork or some fish, as well as there's garlic, ginger, and turmeric. So these are considered to be condiments. It's going to increase the flavor. It's a part of our culture in Jamaica to use condiments, part of our heritage, our culture. We like spicy food. So condiments, in this case, helps to enhance the flavor of our food, as well as drinks in some cases. Now, there are certain facts that are there to be known about scallion and thyme. In terms of scallion, what amount do you need to plant an acre? Well, you need between 3,500 to 4,000 pounds. You need a planting distance that the scallion will grow to its maximum, because planting distance is important. You also need the distance between the plants and between the rows. distance between the rows is your working space for the farm. So we said we see where you can use between a planting distance between 10 by 10. 10 inches
Sion, I'm not hearing you.
Sir Spence, I'm not hearing anything.
All right. We seem to be having a challenge. Mr. Parker, you could just bring up this slide for me, please. Seem to be having some technical difficulties. Sorry about that. Parker, you're there?
Yes, I am, Georgia. Sure. Good night, everyone.
All right, let me, yeah, just bring up the screen and continue, please.
All right. Can you all see my screen?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay. Okay. How about now? Are we all there?
Yes, go ahead. Mhm.
Wonderful. So good night and welcome again, everyone. So as Sir Spence was mentioning, the adequate amount of planting material needs to be considered. Your terrain, your access to water, and of course, other factors in terms of inputs. So you're looking at approximately 3,500 to 4,000 pounds of scallion per acre on average. The planting distance usually runs in an amount of 10 by 10, thereabouts. You're looking at anywhere between 10 to 12 weeks in terms of your production cycle. So again, once you're considering condiments of this nature, then you plan accordingly. Good agronomic practices would see you turning about 35 to 40,000 pounds on average per acre. This, of course, we've seen in terms of different infield activities. Where it concerns your thyme, the planting material usually runs in a similar stead where the distance between the plants anywhere between 10 by 10. Again, in instances, this can also close out or lock out. So if you are putting on your good foliar nutrition as well as granular supplements, watch for this, that as soon as the head starts to mature, then you harvest every other row or thereabouts, just to give you that kind of latitude where production is concerned. So, be mindful of that as you produce. So, as would have mentioned, there are some popular areas for these kind of condiments. Your southern part of Manchester, be it your Plowden, your New Forest, your Duff House, Alligator Pond. Those communities tend to grow these crops and they do very well, again, because of climate and elevation. But of course, bear in mind too that these are some of the dry areas. So, if you're in this region, then, be mindful that you might need to truck water and put the other agronomic practices in place, be that your grass mulch and so on. On the other side, in St. Elizabeth, be it Ridgepen, Nain, the Junction, your Bull Savannah, areas like this in terms of Flagamans and Littits, Beacon, these crops are quite popular in terms of growth. Be it to that farmers, when you have established monocultures, then what you'll end up with are issues with common pests and diseases. So you plant and rotate your soils and your crops accordingly. All right, so if you're considering it, then of course, your first and foremost is your land preparation. Again, at Carbon Chemicals, we pride ourselves in providing ideal solutions for your growing needs. And so your glyphosate max, provided that you have a heavy shrubby or wooded area, then your glyphosate max along with your benzene or your glyphosate AG41 along with your benzene can give you sufficient knockdown in terms of the harder to control weeds. If the area is an area that was already established and you're just rotating a crop, then of course you can always pull for your paraquat, be it your scorcher or your paraquat super, and apply accordingly. Again, these will give you control of your guinea grass and your brachiaria. Again, to farmers, you can always just weed these out and then use them back in terms of your mulch practice. So you're not going to throw away your grasses that you're going to be controlling, you're going to use them back in your land prep. I've seen farmers just use their hose or their sickle and cut the grass, then remove the root structures from the soil so as to not have them re-emerging once you're in your production phase. So simple strategies in terms of your land preparation stage that you need to consider, where herbicide and your pre and post emergent practices need to be considered. So consider these factors as you go along. Now, at planting, and I want to be very pointed here in saying that farmers, be mindful of where you're getting your planting material. Know the history of that area, and that, of course, will give you the opportunity to be in a position to know, am I importing or am I purchasing any additional pests or diseases as I get my planting material, all right? So just be guarded on that. A good friend, just ask him, what were some of the challenges you had in your previous crop? And how did you go about doing them in terms of control? So where the planting material is concerned, after transplant, because you would have pulled up these plants or severed the root structures, you want to lessen the stress on that plant. So as you put them in soil, you want to apply your green stem. Now, what we normally do is pair that with your kickstart or your solid growth. And note the middle number, it's 1248.8. And the message you're sending here now, farmers, to that plant is give me quick root development. That's the message. Now, when you add your biostimulant Cytoplex to that transition becomes quicker in terms of post-transplant. There's faster recovery, and you're going to be getting quick establishment. So if it's Thyme, you're not going to see any dieback. If you're Escallion, you're going to see faster growth taking place. And this, of course, is a plus here and now where it concerns, especially when you're planting Thyme in particular, you can have significant loss due to, of course, the plants dying in field. So strategies and techniques that we've implemented. And you'll see further as we go along in the conversation here tonight, farmers. So where planting is concerned, you can, of course, apply your fungicide. And, of course, carbendazim is a product that is an excellent solution that you can, of course, utilize. In addition to that, if you have instances where you're seeing ants in your field, pull for your diazinon. That's going to give you an excellent knockdown as well as control where the major insect pests are concerned. So your strategy, get your Cytoplex, have your diazinon, your green stem on hand, right? Especially where these plants are concerned. If you are concerned about like a pink rot, if you're doing like the red root scallion, then ensure that you have carbendazim or sulcox in that mix in that first instance, so as to be on the preventative side as well as on the curative side where that is concerned. And of course, we always recommend that you include your adjuvant. And this one in particular is your new FMP that is going to give you proper coverage and greater penetration of the chemistries that you're utilizing. I hope you are all following and taking copious notes at this time. And of course, do remind you that you have, of course, the drop box that you can add your questions. So we can, of course, feel free to participate as we go along. And we'll read those questions come at the end of the session itself. Now, where your nutrition is concerned, this is post-transplant going into what we call the vegetative stage. You want to, of course, push this plant. Remember now, we're going for anywhere between 10 to 12 weeks. If you can reduce your planting, your production cycle, increase your mass or your biomass of your plant in terms of your yield potential, then that is the secret sauce here that we're sharing tonight at Caribbean Chemicals. With your agar leaf line, that's going to give you the cutting edge and the faster growth and the faster recovery. So post-transplant, you want to consider your root max, which is a 10-50-10, and it comes, of course, again with your trace element. And this, of course, again, high phosphorus right there, giving that plant that kickstart, that push in terms of growth and development. Your Nutrimax, your basic 20-20-20, but not just basic. The formulation is also critical here because it's providing balanced nutrition, but free from your chlorides. So you're not going to see any carbonates, not going to see any what we call phytotoxicity or any scorching of the plant. Now, because these are all leafy plants, in terms of condiments, you want that excellent lush green canopy. Your Green Max or your 30-10-10 is going to be ideal, and it comes also with your trace elements. So you want darker, greener leaves, lush growth, and again, what you're going to be getting now is rapid multiplication of your Escallion or even your Thyme itself. So bigger heads, faster growth, and again, this is going to translate in terms of profit potential. Again, too, you also have in that mixture your Flower Max. Now, farmers might say Flower Max, so Parker, why would you put Flower Max here? But note the numbers. We're talking about 9, 18, 36. So high potassium, high phosphorus, and it is also paired with your magnesium. But again, critical component in the chlorophyll is also important for photosynthesis. So faster growth rate, and you're going to be getting that potassium to give you that increased biomass, because once you see potassium, then what you're also going to get is a faster uptake of nitrogen. And so that's the strategy that we are pushing here tonight, farmers. Now, this is what your agar leaf line looks like in terms of your 10-50-10 or your 20-20-20 with your Nutrimax, your Green Max, or your Flower Max. And so you use these at 20 grams and just above a tablespoon per gallon of water. And these are 1 kg size packaging. So of course, your range is anywhere from half of the packet size to 1 entire sachet for your drum mix. And so be mindful of that. Now, as you go into your growth phase, you can, of course, increase that movement, that development of your crop. And how is this achieved? You can, of course, utilize Agassiz. And what is Agassiz, you might be asking. You're talking about carboxylic acid, the energy booster right there, amino acid or protein synthesis right that is present. And it also comes there with your seaweed extract. So what you're getting is a compact biostimulant that is giving you all the essential amino acids the plant will need, all the essential growth minerals that your plant would need, along with seaweed extract. Now, when you pair this with a Nutrimax or Green Max, what you're going to be seeing, faster growth and development. And of course, we've done in-field work, so we're going to be showing you here and now tonight in terms of what that looks like. So this is what we're talking about. After 3 applications of your Green Max, you're noting carefully with your Agassiz, what you're seeing is an excellent lush head of thyme. You're not getting any black rot because, again, it lessen the stress with the seaweed extract that is present in it, but you're also getting a massive head. Some of these heads were beyond 1.5 pounds. And so this is a benefit that you're having now, farmers, from using a simple strategy, but that one that works quite effectively. And as you note the treated versus your control, and these are side-by-side comparisons, farmers and farming enthusiasts, the Development itself, all the area was planted at once, established. So all I did was to intervene with save and except for your green max and your agassiz. Agassiz being used at 20 mils per gallon, just over a tablespoon, and your green max at 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. And what the farmer would have been able to report, anywhere from one of these rows is harvesting over 30 pounds of thyme. And again, this is significant compared to in the region of 15 and some 20 pounds here and now. And this, of course, was done in New Forest, Manchester, one of the areas where so the farmers could actually see in terms of the technique and the strategy that we are putting forward. Simple, yet effective. And again, too, simple, but yet cost effective. So if you look at the input cost, you would note carefully, farmers, only 3 applications. So we still haven't used the entire liter of agassiz. And we still haven't gone through the 1 kg of your green max in terms of nutrition program applied to this crop. Now again, additional field work here being done and showcase where Bellis excellence is considered. Now again, Bellis is one of our flagship fungicide, but when used at 16 grams per gallon of water, what you're getting is accelerated growth, better use of nitrogen, again reducing the stress, and of course, faster uptake of your minerals. Now, if you look to the left of my screen, I'm not sure if it's the right of yours, but you're seeing the 2 rows of thyme. This is an overhead shot taken again, just to show side-by-side comparisons of what the crop looks like. So by the time these heads are full out and closed, the farmer would have been able to harvest the treated area, which is up top of the screen here. Again, gone to market and still would have had to wait some week and a half into 2 weeks just to harvest a control area. Again, to another simple yet effective strategy. So all we did here and now was to just mix Bellis in whatever quantity, but 16 grams per gallon, and only 3 applications at week 3, 4, and 5 after you've established the crop. And you can literally watch the plants growing week over week. You would have been able to see the exponential growth rate. And of course, for those who want to see further work on Bellis and Bellis excellence, we would have done additional YouTube presentations. So feel free to go into our YouTube channel. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, and of course, you can view a previous presentation on this. So again, another strategy here with using the omics line of products in your vegetative state, but this time it's Bio-20 and Cytoplex. And why match these 2, you might ask? Why pair them? Again, too, you're talking about seaweed extract. You're talking about improving biomass and root development and stress reduction. But moreover, you're talking about improving the length and girth of those scallion stalks. And what's the benefit here, you might ask? If biomass is increased, it simply means that the weight potential is also increased. And you might say, but it's only 5% seaweed extract. The omics line is so developed that the 5% kelp is actually in the purest form there is. And as a result of that, the plants are going to be benefiting from that. Here again, this is another side-by-side comparison being done. The methodology was simple. 3 applications done throughout the life of the crop, and this was over an 8-week period, so you can spread it. Now, when you talk about cost benefit here, no farmers, again, that's the reason why we only did 3 applications, because we've had farmers who do more than 3 and report that the stalk of scallion is over 4 feet tall. And the clump that you pull up, when you establish it, you only plant 1. We're looking at a clump of scallion with over 14 or 16 stalks that are present, and with a mass of over a kilogram. So we're talking about value for money with 3 applications using the Cytoplex as well as your Bio 20. Simple strategy, but quite effective in terms of growth and development. And as you look careful at the images that we've presented, where you see the side by side here, the tape measure doesn't even tell you the true picture in terms of reflecting the numbers. But when you look at the other images, you're seeing a Escallion star that is over 36 inches. This is 3 feet tall, folks, right? As compared to a crop that in the control that is over 23 inches. So you're seeing a major difference. So you're talking about a foot or 13 inches in terms of difference between your control and your treated. And what does this mean in terms of dollar value? We're talking about 2 pounds, which is a kilogram, versus a pound and a quarter. Who doesn't want that kind of difference in terms of take home, in terms of value that you're getting at the end of the day? And so the fieldwork and conversation continues with the use of the granular fertilizer program. Again, we have 2 such products, one from Abudam and another from the Elixir. So the Elixir, the Abudam blend, sorry, you know, either your 14-28-14 or your 11-22-22 can be applied. The strategy here and now is to combine those one or the other with your Amsol, and again from the same brand. And the benefit here, it's going to be done in a 1-to-1 ratio, and you apply that at week 1 or 2. And this is going to give you the adequacy in terms of a balanced formulation to give the plant what it needs to grow and develop. And I must say to you, this can be broadcast throughout the field. It comes either in a quick release or a slow release option. Now, given the timeline for the crops and its development, then you want to, of course, be applying it within a short time span and using your quick release options. All right, so for your Elixir blends now, farmers, we talk about your Amasulfan, and this is also paired with your 6-24-12, and you're getting in addition to that calcium as well as sulfur and zinc. Never before have you seen a technology like this. It's not been duplicated because the technology is so advanced that, you know, we are light years ahead where the Elixir blends are concerned. The blends are so much so that they come with the full composition of the mineral package in each grain. And so it doesn't matter the dispersion and where they go, the crop is going to be benefiting from that. Of course, too, the Elixir 8-15-15 again comes with calcium, sulfur, or the 12-12-17, which comes with magnesium and sulfur, boron and zinc, gives a plant that adequacy in terms of growth and development, and of course, productivity. So again, farmers, the strategies are pretty simple, but yet very, very effective in terms of what you need to be doing in terms of the various growth and crop stages. So of course, we continue our look on condiments, and of course, you want to be bulking up in terms of size. There's the issue of tip burn when it comes on to your Escallion. Again, this can be prevented pretty simple with the introduction of your Calmax B, and this is 22% calcium and 1% boron, or of course you can utilize a ZMC Express. Either one gives you that compact, that bulk, and of course the development of the crop. Fortify again to add it to that mix. We're talking about increasing your phosphorus, your potassium, and again that helps. So as the plant bulks up, you give it the phosphorus and the potassium that it needs to hold those cell walls and to give the continued nutrition to ensure, of course, that you make the best. You don't want to be harvesting your Escallion and having to pick off the tips or to trim down the Escallion too far down. Again, this prevents, of course, and results in, of course, economic losses where your crops are concerned. Again, too, in bulking up, there are other products with your calcium. And so again, we've introduced Saita and Evergreen from Excelag. Again, another excellent product which contains a 41% calcium and 40% phosphorus. It's fungistatic, meaning that it prevents any fungal development. You're talking about an excellent source of calcium, quicker absorption, and of course, your root development. So quite all around compact products from Carbon Chemicals that can be utilized. The Evergreen contains over 22 essential elements, and this is going to give a reduction in biotic as well as abiotic stress. So all around benefit, either your Omex or your Saida and Evergreen can be utilized in your crop. Your Evergreen, again, being used here as a carrier to mobilize the minerals throughout the crop. And again, now this is going to influence your quality as well as your shelf life, and again, to your rate of return in terms of your production. All right. So another factor here, farmers, weed management in your crop. And again, to our Carbon Chemicals, we've thought about it. And again, too, because we are practitioners in the craft, meaning that we actually do farming too, or have some direct linkages with it. We've seen and understood the benefits of, bringing solutions that are effective to farmers, because we understand that while labor is short and the cost of production can go up, then what you do, you implement strategies and solutions that can give you your results. So weeds are going to be competing with the crop for that fertilizer we talked about earlier, be it your Elixir or your Abodam. It's competing for space and for sunlight, and of course your pests can also be harbored. So what do? We introduce Prowl. And what is Prowl? Prowl is your pendimethalin option. We also have another product called Penzine that is utilized to, of course, prevent your weed seeds from germinating and growing in that field. And of course, as you see the field to my extreme left, I'm not sure if that's your right, you're noticing that it's just a Escallion that is established and some smaller weeds popping up here and about, but Prowl was applied over crop after it was established. And again, if you notice, there's no mulch here. So that again too tells you that there's significant protection in terms of the growth and development of your crop. That's one. But two, you're also saving on your weed management and even the need to go and purchase additional input products such as your grasses. Again, this is a strategy being done in your New Forest, Duff House area, where the farmers, of course, have overhead sprinkler irrigation. Now, of course, the true to type situation is that the soil needs to be moist, and then you put down your Prowl or your Penzine. And what do I mean by this? The moisture there is going to help the product to create that film over the surface and also help whatever weed seed in your soil to germinate. And as they germinate, that's when your Prowl or your Penzine becomes active and starts working on your behalf by preventing those seeds from growing through your soil. Again, too, be mindful not to break the film. So once you're applying it, you're going to be moving backwards so as to not break that film that you're laying down of your Prowl or Penzine. And of course, these can be applied at 1.5 tablespoons per gallon of water or 20 mils per gallon for effective weed control. Now, like anything else, as I'd mentioned before, once you establish a monoculture, you're going to find issues where pests and diseases popping up. And again, we scout, we do our preventative rather than be on the control measure. Right, farmers? Right. And so how do we do this? We scout the field because what we're trying to do is produce the best quality product at the best quality price and to be consistent in whatever we are doing. And so one of the simplest ways to do this, as I've mentioned, is to carry out the scouting. Know the crop, know the major diseases and pests that affect it, and then to implement those strategies. And again, we've gone through and done careful study and management techniques, and we've presented on all of these in previous presentations. But let's briefly go through them one after the other. Again, now we have what some people call a plant lice. In this case, we're talking about thrips. That's how some farmers refer to it as. It's generally pale in color. You're gonna see striations or marking on the stalk of the Escallion or your other crops. And this again is the key indicator. You can of course utilize your diazine and your indica for control. You can of course implement your traps and your other monitoring tools that is going to give you effective control here and now. Another is your leaf miner. Excellent products such as your Cure or newly introduced Protect can give you excellent control in terms of both on the preventative side as well as the control side. And again, these are going to be tunneling into the leaves themselves. They are very small, and they're actually the maggots that are in the life cycle of the leaf miner that is boring through the plant structure, and again causing it to be unmarketable. Again, no, if this is the case, you want to be on the side of not having them on your farm or in your field. And again, now, another major is your beet armorworm. Again, this is something we have to scout for, be on the management side, the preventative side. Note carefully that they are produced in large numbers. And so your indicator in terms of action threshold is very, very low. And as a result of this, you want to be on the lookout through your scouting. Know what the exacts look like. Now, if you look at the images to my left, or the image rather, this was the exact, and all of these smaller dots you're seeing here are your beet armorworm larvae that have hatched out and are moving about. Once they go beyond this stage, then they're going to be on the inside of the scallion or your onion plant. And that's where the problem comes in, because they're no longer accessible. So you know will have to be on the management side to look out for that. Excellent chemistries again are within our portfolio. We talk about Caratrax, Indicarb, as well as Mimic. They target varying stages of the life cycle. And again, too, you want to be on the lookout for this. So you monitor from your traps, ensure you have full knowledge of the number of adults and the larvae that are present. Observe for your egg and your egg masses, and again, implement the measures accordingly. So Mimic is early infestation stage. And again, you can cocktail with your Caratrax rather to give you that full knockdown or continuous or added protection when the population sizes are low. When you go into the warmer period, which is now, going into further spring into summer, then the activity of the adults or the moth tend to be higher. What you need to be doing at this time, farmers, is to do more scouting while monitoring your traps and then rotating your chemistries accordingly. All right. So those are the strategies that we're going to be implementing. Further to this, you have, of course, your downy mildew that can, of course, target your crop. You want to be on the lookout for this again. You see the fuzzy gray areas that are on the leaf surface. Rotating chemistries like your Acrobat, your carbendazim, or even your Triphmine gives you excellent control and knockdown of this. And again, also farmers, because they're damaging the leaf area, and that's the point you're marketing, then you want to be on the side of caution and continue your scouting programs accordingly. Now, where thyme is concerned, the major problem here is your black rot. The issue with black rot is that the entire plant is going to go down. Again, nothing there to market. And so you're going to see this issue popping up throughout the plot. Be on the lookout for this and then target early stage applications so as to not be, again, in economic losses here. So you're going to be seeing some small black spots, concentric rings. You'll see plants dying back or portions of the plant dying back, or for larger plants, the lower leaves are absent. That is an indicator that you have black rot present in your thyme. Be mindful of this, and again, to rotate and implement the strategies accordingly So chemistry such as your bellies at 8 to 12 grams per gallon of water gives you good control. If you're doing an excellence program, then what it simply means is that then the issue can be controlled in that one pass, meaning that bellies at 16 grams per gallon gives you both fungicidal control as well as the excellence effect. So you're getting two benefits here and now. Where it comes on to your carbendazim, and a pretty excellent product, low application rate, and this is half to 1 teaspoon per gallon of water. And this again is excellent control for your black rot situations. So again, if you're using bellies, your boscalid pyroclostrobin is going to be giving you that knockout punch where it comes on to the black rot and other situations. The excellence effect, again, including improving your nitrogen usage, also making sure that your crops are growing fast and you're getting increased growth rate, increased development, as well as biomass or weight. So you're benefiting in both ways. The strategy, if you're using the excellence effect, is that anywhere after 2 weeks where it concerns your thyme or any other crop, or 21 days after, you can apply in this fashion, 16 grams per gallon of water. And every week for 3 weeks, you're applying this product. And then you stop and you literally see the effect right in front of your face, where you're having increased growth rate and development of your crops themselves. All right, so here again, we have some beautiful pictures here supplied. This is a farmer, Donovan Smith, with his bellies excellence. Now, if you notice carefully now, farmers, between the images for your treated and control, you're seeing larger heads, you're seeing greener, thicker heads, and they're also robust in nature. I think this variety is the St. Andrew, if you notice the upright growth and development of the plant here. So you're going to be seeing that increased head mass. You're going to be seeing that, and again, too, at the end result, of course, your increased weight. Again, too, you can utilize products like your your Evergreen and your Saita. And this is a testimonial from Natala Strong, and this is in St. Elizabeth. Of course, you noted that the heads that were treated were much bigger and greener. And again, the maturity time, of course, it was much earlier. And what does this mean? It means that if your production cycle is 8 weeks, you're cutting that by at least an additional week or 2. And what's the benefit from that? Earlier to market. And so you can pretty much clean up that plot and go again. And you're still ahead of the game in terms of other farmers here and about. And the strategy, pretty simple. Talk about Saita and Evergreen at 15 grams per gallon of water for both, along with Carchax, your insecticide as mentioned earlier, with carbendazim. And of course, you would have added your exit as your adjuvant. And of course, amasulfan, the elixir amasulfan was utilized at 4 ounces per plant. So again, to farmers, simple yet effective techniques in doing this kind of production where thyme and scallion is concerned. All right, so in another minute or two, we'll be taking questions and feedback from the participants. But just to share with you some upcoming activities, again, tomorrow on Power 106, we'll be talking about drought mitigation and as well as carrot production. And this is at Power 106, and we will be on air from 8:18 rather to 6:18 rather to 6:45. And this, of course, is this and every Wednesday that we're on Power 106. On Thursday, we'll be having a farmer training session, and this is, of course, with carrot production. It's going to be at Springfield Primary School, and this is in St. Elizabeth, starting at 2. And on Friday, March 10th, we'll be having a store day in Ocherous, and this is Ocherous Farm and Pet Supplies. And this is, of course, at Pineapple Place, and this is in St. Anne. We'll be there from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So be on the lookout for that. On Saturday, March 11th, we're going to be having a store day, and this is going to be at Tata Farm Store. This is shop number 1, and this is on Mandeville Plaza. And we'll be there from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And on next week, Tuesday, we'll be having our radio feature on Mellow FM, and this is going to be at 3:15. So all these activities are geared towards sharing information and disseminating agricultural facts and tips so as to improve your production and productivity levels. Are there any questions at this time for us? So feel free to, of course, drop us a line on our different social media platform, be it Facebook, Instagram, or even on this channel.
Mr.
Sir
Parker,
Parker.
Yes, sure.
go ahead, go ahead.
If you could mute the television in the background, that would be ideal, so as to not have any feedback. Thank you. Sarah Lyndon. And then, of course.
However, in a development on Tuesday afternoon, kind of the Jamaica.
Yes, sir. So,
Parker,
yes, sure.
there's a question on YouTube.
Yes.
They're asking which of these products are organic.
Which of the products are organic in terms of the biostimulants? All right. Organic in nature, as well as we call OMRI certified. All right. So we talk about the evergreen being in that nature or in that bracket. Also, your Bio 20, again with seaweed extract present in the formulation. So that's on the biostimulant side of things. Where it comes on to your insecticide, we didn't mention it just now because we're still, of course, in trial phase, Georgia, as we know. But we'll, of course, have your soon to product that, of course, you can utilize farmers in the form of something called Organim that is going to be benefiting you in the long term. So if that's the direction you're thinking to go, farmers, then your Saita along with your Bio 20 along with your Evergreen can be utilized. And of course, we have other products that are listed, such as Agassi as well, that can be utilized in your day-to-day farming regime. I trust that answers your question.
Esther, your hand is up. You may go ahead.
Good night, everybody. I don't have a question as it relates to the Escallion and Thyme at this point in time, but what I want to ask Dean or any of the other agronomists within the group at this point in time, I had sown some carrots late last year, but on reaping them on the earlier part of this year, I realized they had some black rings. Could you probably shed some light on it as to what I possibly can do? Because I'm thinking of doing some for the spring, but I'm somewhat afraid of doing it based on what I saw from the last crop.
You said the black rings were on the upper portion of the crop or lower part?
Some of it is on the entire fruit itself.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them never had any. Some it just down at the root, some at the top, all kind of things.
Okay. Would you have planted carrot in that particular soil area before that?
Probably about the year before, but I had put in some Irish potatoes prior to.
Okay. All right. So final question for me. Would you by any chance have an image of that could share with us via our WhatsApp line? Yes,
I never took any pictures.
Oh, okay. Wow, sorry. All right. It sounds somewhat bacterial in nature. For in that situation, then early applications of a Sulcox can of course give you excellent control or prevention. The use of Saita also gives you that, because of the phosphonates that are present, it also helps with situations of that nature. So is that something to consider in going back into production? If you're going to be using that same plot of land, I'd advise, of course, that you do proper tillage, and then one of us could do a site visit so as to give you some on-site guidance with concern.
Sian is very much familiar with the property because your variety of carrots, I had sown it, he had introduced it to me some time ago, and I had done a small plot of it, and it had done very well.
That's wonderful.
So he is familiar with the area. Also, I think the variety of carrots has something to do with it. I don't know. It's a different variety this time I had done. I wish not to disclose which variety, but
please don't.
It's a different variety of carrots that I had done this time. Because I was wondering, because of the drought, if that could have been a factor. Because I basically made nothing more from that crop of carrots. Because of the damage from the black rain.
Wow. All right, truly sorry about that loss, but we'll definitely participate and follow up with this upcoming crop so as to stave off or to try to avoid or prevent any further losses where that is concerned.
Parker?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Georgia.
Johnson on YouTube is asking you to bring back the early slide that shows the yield and planting distance. And while you do that, there's a question in the chat.
Sure. Yeah, well, go ahead with the question, Georgia. As I go back to the current slide.
Okay. Which combination of products are best for cotton production?
So which combination of products are better? All right, we found that the combination would be Miller and Omex, or you could simply, because when it comes on to the bud development, with the calcium is going to be playing a critical role there. When it comes on to flowering, then you go where Miller is concerned. So it's a rotation of your Omex and Miller line that is going to give you that ideal combination where that is concerned. So as you go into your flowering, then of course your cytokinin, your green stem, your nutrient express, and as the crop goes out of and go into your bud development and start producing, then of course your calcium and your phosphorus plays another critical role here. So a very good mix of your Omex and Miller line would be excellent there.
Parker, also on YouTube, the person is responding to Esther that says, I think she has carrot crown rot.
Okay. Based on the description, it sounds like that, but I didn't want to drill down too far where that is concerned without seeing something of sorts. But thank you for that input, viewer.
Do you have a question for the audience, Parker?
Yes, most definitely, Georgia, definitely. We generally do, and of course, at this time we want to acknowledge and thank you for your participation, and ask that you respond via our chat where this question is concerned. So which of the products mentioned, I mentioned 2 and perhaps a third one that was not on slide, that gives you excellent control of black rot in thyme. So which product? Identify them both rather, that provides excellent control of black rot in thyme. All right, so remember, of course, that will be on Power 106 tomorrow morning. Leroy Wilson, you can go ahead, Leroy.
Leroy. Mhm.
Go ahead, Leroy. I'm not sure if you're hearing me. I see your hand raised. You can go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking if you had gotten the answer to the question.
Oh,
Not yet.
no. You type it in the chat? If
Right,
you know the
I had-
answer, man, go ahead and add it to the chat. Georgia and I are viewing the chat. Haven't
In the
seen
Okay.
any.
meantime, Parker, you can
Say again?
go back to the. In the meantime, you can put it on the agronomist slide.
Okay, sure. So again, to farmers, if we do know that from time to time you need additional support, feel free to reach out to us at Carbon Chemicals, of course, to provide you with on-site visits that are, of course, our technical team is quite well trained and ready to provide you with information accordingly. So we have Patrick Kenyon, who is in St. Mary, St. Anne, and in Portland, Oluda Shaw in Hanover and Trelawney, as well as St. James. Sion Spence and Andre Rance is in Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth. John O. Johnson and Jadon Dillon is in St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and St. Thomas. And yours truly, Dane Parker and Charmaine Walker Robinson is in Westmoreland. Sorry, Mandeville. I know I want to go to Westmoreland. Manchester, as well as Clarendon. Are we seeing any responses just yet, Georgia, in terms of feedback?
Just now. Hold on.
Okay.
Leroy Wilson said acrobat and carbendazim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only.
Oh, thus far. Okay. That's a
Oh, and
50%.
then Nigel of carbendazim and Sulcox on YouTube.
Okay, wonderful. All right. Anything else? Any other feedback?
Yeah,
That's about it.
yeah, that's it.
All right. So
Leroy also said Bellis and acrobat.
Bellis and Acrobat. You kind of going between Leroy, between one and the other. You have a 50% correct there, Leroy. It's actually Bellis is correct, but the other chemistry is what I want you to identify. In terms of that. So again, where black rot is concerned, there's Bellis, and then there's also that can be utilized in the crop. All right, so yeah. All right, so we thank you for participating this tonight with us in our first change of time presentation. We look forward to continue the conversation with you, of course, here at on our different platforms. Of course, join us tomorrow morning at 6:18 for our program, which is Farming Today on Power 106. Thank you for all joining and have yourselves a wonderful rest of the night. So we'll reach out to Leroy and the other participant on YouTube.